What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NotBland Show. And I'm your host, Eugene Bland, and we're going to have a great show today. We're going to talk a lot of drag racing, kind of dabble into where we are in the season. We're almost to the halfway point. Thunder Valley is your last race of the second quarter of the regular season, and we'll be at the midway point at the end of it. And this is about the time where teams need to get it together, find a way to push forward, because the second half of the season, that fourth quarter is short. It's only 2 races. So it's time to get it in gear, and it needs to start now. Before we get into all that action, and we'll have Dave W. on, owner, founder of Drag Race Reference, where they are the stats of the NotBland Show. We will talk all about it, but I want to thank our sponsor, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. What a weekend, and it was ugly for a lot of people. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. It was devastating. That's probably the worst bracket I've had all season long, and worst is really an understatement. Really an understatement. I want to thank Everything Nitro as well, and of course, this is brought to you by sportsjourney.com. We'll have great content over there, football and NHRA, and go check it out. And after the break, we'll have Dave W. on, and we'll start this conversation about the NHRA and this season.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Well, you know what time it is. Make sure that if you're not part of this thing, get involved. The code for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza is at the bottom in the ticker. You can join the NotBland Show League. Thanks, everybody. Memphis Lonnie, what's going on, man? It was a darn good race. A whole lot of things going on there. Drag Race Mayhem, how's it going? He said from the beginning, almost at the midway, was basically have learned nothing. It's wide open. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. We're doing great, man. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Make sure you guys are sharing the show. Get people in here. Get people involved. We're going to have a great conversation tonight, and it will involve you guys a little bit too. So we're interested to hear what you think as we get into this thing. Dave, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Oh, it's going great. Finally, some beautiful weather here in Southeast Michigan at 92 degrees today, and summer almost feels like it's finally here. So, and it's hard to believe that with that warm weather, because we've been pretty much seeming like an extended winter and just very, very, very small snippets of spring, that we're 7 races into the NHRA season already, 7 down, 7 to go before the point reset. And man, what a race Epping was. I can't wait to break down everything that was going on in that race, because that was one for the record books for sure.
It was. I kind of thought about this last week when I talked about Epping and looking at the weather. I knew it was going to be a real issue with the conditions. And it looked as if we would have cloud cover and good conditions, the same conditions we saw in qualifying on race day. And then the sun comes out and really throws a complete monkey wrench into everything. And that really bit a lot of people out there.
It really did. And it seemed like when the sun was away, the track had maybe more teeth for the other competitors that can really get after it, but it was still pretty tricky. But then again, the sun was out when we got to the semifinals and the finals, and we saw some of the fastest speeds in history out of that Monster Energy car. So the place was just ready to just explode this weekend with everything that was going on. I'm glad that they were able to wait it out, because Saturday looked very bleak. I mean, I even tuned in Saturday morning and I was like, well, that's kind of a shame that they were factual in their predictions of the weather.
Yeah.
And by 1 o'clock, they were like top fuel to the lanes. Let's go racing. Because it did not look good 9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
It
And
didn't.
they got the show in. I feel bad for the sportsman racers. They unfortunately lost most of their track time, didn't finish the event until roughly about 7:30, I think 8 o'clock at night, maybe on Sunday night by the time they got to their all rounds of competition. But kudos to the NHRA, the Safety Safari, and the teams for getting the entire weekend in and not losing anything and not losing any runs, and what a performance it was. And that's what we really need. We need these races to have all their qualifying sessions, these teams to have all their shots at the track to get their tune-ups right, and it just makes for a better race.
Yeah, it really does. You know, the work that they put in to keep the track good. You know, they talked about the track. I know Dallas last week on the Power Hour talked about the racetrack and the racing surface on the starting line being tricky for pro stock. That pretty much showed up and showed its head. It seemed to be a little tricky for those who made good horsepower when the sun came out. And those who really navigated this thing are proving that they have a real nice, well-rounded playbook to be able to attack the rest of the season with. You know, I look at Tony Stewart. He's proven since week 1, they were the only car that went down that raggedy thing we call the racetrack in Gainesville on eliminations. And that seemed to kind of has carried over throughout the season. They've found ways to get down the racetrack at times when it didn't seem to be as feasible, and they've adapted to the conditions quite well. You know, it's hard to do what, you know, it's hard to come up to the starting line and contend with what you saw from Brittany Force in the final with that 340-mile-an-hour run. She needed all of it because Tony was 049 on the tree. She was 068. Needed all that 340-mile-an-hour run to get the W. But, you know, they ran their race, and on any other day, it likely would have been a win. David Grubnick was on his game this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And the funny thing about that final round, like you say, decided by 7,000ths of a second. I mean, Tony goes out there and he's really been working on his lights.
Mm-hmm.
He's really tried to get on par. He looks up to what Justin Ashley and Sean Langdon are doing out there, and he wants to make a difference in what he's doing. And Brittany, that was her best light of the day. And it was her third best light of eliminations so far in 2025, and she needed every bit of it, because if she repeated any of the other lights that she had throughout race day, that was going to be a whole shot loss in that final round, and Tony Stewart would be the first 3-time winner of the season in Top Fuel. Yeah. So, I mean, she needed every bit of that horsepower, but she stepped up when she needed to and cut a light. And you got to feel for her, because her 2 best lights that she's had that you look back on that weren't for the rest of the season was first round losses at both Las Vegas and at Chicago, which the Chicago one, Justin, you know, she comes out there with her best light of the season at 047 and Justin Ashley's 018. I mean, she would have needed a 367 to win that race, and comes out at Vegas with a 051 in first round of the 4 wides, comes across finish line third, goes, you know, smokes the tires. So when she is there, the car is not, but that was just a good combination of she was on the tree, Grubnick had the power, and I just want to see how it kind of transitions and carries into Bristol. I kind of want to see how it carries into Norwalk. We're getting into the summer swing, and I don't think you're going to see too many events like Epping where you're going to get that great of weather conditions on race day. I think we're starting to get into hot weather tune-ups. But it's funny because when they interviewed him on the starting line, they said they were working on their hot weather tune-up. So that could be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. You know, she was on WFO earlier today, and, you know, she talked about the fact that she's glad that there's another race that they're going back to back, kind of being able to get into a rhythm a little bit. And she likes the continuously, you know, going race to race instead of these 2 weeks off, which I understand it. You want to try to get into a rhythm. Crew chiefs want to get into a rhythm. The teams, as they take these cars apart and put them back together, want to get into a rhythm. It's important, especially when you got a little momentum. This will be interesting to see how it translates in Bristol after leaving here with a lot of momentum. J.R. Todd, finally, everybody has talked about this whole thing with him and the team, but I mean, he's made it clear that Dickie Venables is bringing his playbook here, so they needed to set things up and set this thing up so that he can run his style of offense, and it came to fruition this weekend. A little bit tuner, a little bit driver. They were able to get it done and get a win, a much needed win for them. They've shown some signs of kind of turning the corner, and this may be it for them.
Well, it's a much needed win. I mean, it's hard to believe that it's been more than a calendar year. Gainesville to start last season is the last time that J.R. Todd won a race. Ironically enough, last time that a Toyota Supra has won a race, with Alexis having her losing streak and now switching, and then Ron Capps and his losing streak that he's got going on. It's pretty big for the Toyota camp too in their last season with NHRA. But I wonder what it does to team morale to know that they end up making this team swap, this crew chief swap. Dickie comes over there, and they're holding up a Wally and in victory lane before Matt Hagan's crew and Matt Hagan are. When you leave a team and you were able to win before the team that you left, I'm sure that is not only a confidence booster, but it makes you feel good to know that you're bringing the setup, you're getting it consistent. And they just said, I mean, he's got a knack for that track. When they tuned Hagan's car, I mean, Hagan had an incredible round streak there and an incredible win streak at Epping. They just got the setup right for there. So they've impressed, but they've also been inconsistent. So I think once he gets a handle on this going forward, J.R. Todd could be starting his summer stretch too. I'm sure they're another team that's very excited to have back-to-back races and keep that momentum going and see what happens. But you got to seal the deal and follow up with it. You can't go out and be out first round in Bristol.
Indeed. I ain't gonna say too much about Pro Stock. It's Greg Anderson. What's up going on, AJ? The man that is the man of the late lap. If you're not watching that show, I don't know what you're doing. You're not living your life right. I'm just saying. 9:00 p.m. Eastern, usually every night. It has been so far, and I believe he will be live tonight. So make sure you guys tune into this thing. Blake, we're gonna touch on Erica here towards the end. I'm gonna get right into it. Top Fuel here. Let's go in Top Fuel. Who are for you the sure contenders in this particular class?
Well, yes, we're 7 races in, but we've got a 6-race countdown. But I think you can use the first 6 races and maybe one of them as a mulligan, maybe throw one of the 4 wides out, because that's pretty much what you're going to break down this countdown to be, because you got the 4 wide in there. I think what we've seen so far is a pretty real sample of what the last 6 are going to be. And I think Tony Stewart's here to stay. I mean, this man is a contender. He's been in the final round, basically. He was credited with a semifinal finish at Charlotte, but was in the run for the trophy the last round of the day at 5 consecutive events and 5 of 7. And the other 2, he made it to the second round at least. So the man has no first-round losses. And in a sport where everybody wants to win and everybody wants to hold the Wally, you still got to respect and look out for consistency, because consistency is what puts points on the table. He's got a 71-point lead, 7 races into the season. When we go through and do the points reset, it's going to close everybody back up. But if he can have another 6-race sample the way that he is here, and he can close it out the way that he started it, and they're just building momentum right now. I think he's a surefire contender. You can't count out Sean Langdon. There's no way. I mean, they've had a couple of stumbles. They've had a couple of first-round losses, which is uncharacteristic. I mean, Doug Coletta has been number 1 qualifier, I believe, 5 out of 7 of the events, too. Yeah. So they have got the power. It's just being a matter of getting it to the track and having the consistency to go arounds and be a part of it. Antron Brown, Justin Ashley. Justin Ashley, I'm kind of on the fence on, because he usually starts his season strong. Yeah. He's usually in the final round within the first couple of races. This year, it took him all the way to the 4 wides to be able to do that. But then he went back-to-back at Joliet, and he's out there. The car's running better. He's still out there killing the tree. So I think those are your main guys that are in it that I would say are a sure bet when we come to the countdown time. Everybody else really is going to have to step up from this point on to kind of prove that they're a contender.
Yeah, so I have all of those. Tony's average, everybody worries about qualifying position, but Tony's average qualifying position is 6.142. Like, it's not like he's number one qualifier. You got Doug, who's 1.57. His last 5 races, he's been 6-5 round win-loss record. He only has 1 runner-up. Tony, 2 wins, 2 runner-ups. He's 15-4 in his last 5 races round win-loss record. And like you said, no first round exit. Sean has had the first round exit. Antron has the first round exit. Sean is average is 4.4 and Antron's is 3.86 average qualifying position. He's 7-5 in his last 5, 6-4 for Sean. He has those 2 wins though that helps him out a lot and being a runner-up as well. I did not have Justin Ashley as a contender. To me, he has potential. That he's 8-5. He's got that. He's 8-5 in his last 5. It's the average qualifying position to me is what's killing them, because at the end of the day, they don't have the same tune-ups as the top 4 that we mentioned. They haven't been nearly as consistent. So when you end up in your average qualifying position is 7.8, which you're right around 7th, 8th place, that means you're running a difficult car at some point. And usually it's a car that's been more consistent than you have, and they just end up getting hung up either first or second round. It's unfortunate, but I do think they have potential. I have Brittany Force in my potential as well. 7-4 in their last 5. They have 2 first round exits to their name. This win helps them out a lot. She's only 9-6 round win-loss record for the year. Justin Ashley, 9-7 round win-loss record for the year. Who are your potentials in Top Fuel?
I mean, that's where I kind of lean towards. I'm looking at I put Justin Ashley in the contender pile because he's probably going to come around towards the end of the season. Yeah. I think he's going to be there. Brittany Force is definitely in my contender group. I mean, you can't go wrong with the power that they have. I mean, the fastest speeds in class history. I mean, when they can get that car to stick. The amazing thing is, though, they're putting a mile an hour down. But other than Pomona, when she had that 364 in Q1, which was eliminations in the Top Fuel call-out that they had there, Alan Johnson and Doug Coletta have had the ET down pat.
Yes,
I mean, they have really just, when the car sticks, that's the one that's going to number 1. So they're there. I think that Steve Torrance has a chance of being in the contender lineup. And, it's hard to really go much deeper than that. There are some teams like Sean Reed, who I could potentially put in a contender lineup simply because of their recent performances. That car has been putting up big speed numbers, putting up good ET numbers. No, it hasn't been top of the field, but they're out there and they're going from A to B and they're doing it in mid to low 70s. So I think those guys are the pretty much my next group that you got to impress me. You got to step up and start doing something to get into that top group. Because they may not be contending for a championship, but they're definitely going to ruin somebody's day when we get to the countdown.
Yeah. So that was my next class of who needs to make a move to put themselves in the conversation. I only had one, and that's Steve Torrance. He's looked the most consistent out of the other guys. I like what Sean Reed is doing, but you got too many first round exits. You only 3-7 round win-loss record, and too many first round exits. Potential is there though. Like, we've seen this car run consistently. But Steve Torrance is probably my only one that I can say needs to make a move to be a potential contender. Everybody else is a wait and see. Too much round win-loss records are trash and too much inconsistency, too many first-round losses for everybody else from basically, 7th place, I think, in the points down. It's just, it's not very good.
the only one that I have in my, needs to step up to even be in the conversation list. I only have one driver as well, Clay Millican. Yes, he won Pomona. He's got 1 second round and 5 first-round losses.
Yeah.
So he's either in winner's circle or he's gone by lunchtime.
Boom
and
or
they got to turn that around. But
yes.
I am holding out hope because second car's coming out. Tony Schumacher's coming out. They're going to get twice the data. They're going to get a whole new crew and a second set of eyes looking over both those cars. And I think that team, yes, needs to do something to be in the conversation. And I think they have the potential of definitely doing that. I'm not sure when Tony Schumacher's first race is. I'm not sure. Right. I know he's posted that he's getting ready to get started on testing to get that going. I don't know if we're going to see him just before the countdown or just entering the countdown. But when that car comes out, I hope it's before the countdown for Clay's sake, because they need all the tuning data and help they can get.
Was his tuner announced? Because I'm not going to say if it wasn't announced.
I don't think that it's ever been announced. It was hinted at that they have a tuner acquired that's a big name tuner. That I think was what they were hinting at on NHRA TV over the weekend.
Yeah, I think we text, so you know who I think it is.
Yeah.
And it has to be, if you're not, you're a dumbass. Point, period. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, I do feel bad for Justin Drag Race Mayhem. The problem is, like we talked about, like I tweeted to you earlier today, just as a wide receiver needs a competent quarterback to be successful, most wide receivers are not successful unless they have a quarterback that can get them the football. He does not have a crew chief that can call plays, that he can clearly execute as a quarterback, but he's not calling good plays at the right time. And they seem to have the case of the yips at the most awful time. I mean, they almost have the Allen Johnson syndrome we used to speak of when Doug Coletta would go up and smoke for no reason. They are very much inconsistent and have not really found the groove with the tune-up. The driver is always there. You have probably one of the best quarterbacks in that class, but your coaching staff and your offensive coordinators he's doing a piss poor job right now, and they got to be able to find it.
Well, I posed this question to you on that behalf because you mentioned when you were going through your season recap for them, the kind of mid-pack and qualifying averages, which, 7th and 8th, you're right in the – and qualifying's been all over the board. Don't get me wrong. The cars are so close, you get monster matchups first round. But even after that, you're going to get monster matchups second round because you're getting 1 or 2 qualifier in round 2 if you're right in the middle of the field there. Do you think that maybe it's a little more pressure because of where they're at in the field, that they feel the need to step on it a little bit more to contend with who they line up with in the first round?
That is probably a little bit of it. But if you're pressing, you're not confident in what you're doing, because I'll go back and I'll turn and look right at Neil Straussball. They just throw whatever ball they feel like is going to get them and at least have them in the race at the end. And if it's enough to get the win, they're not – now, don't get me wrong, they're not going up there and being conservative, but they also are kind of taking what the track give them. They understand what their car and their performance and how this thing works, and they go up there and give Tony a car that's going to go down the racetrack and say, hey, if you get us a couple, great, but the car will be there. And because they have been able to put those consistent runs in, they've been able to get wins because other guys are looking to be heroes and flex, set their balls on the table. And they could have just taken what the track give them, run a nice 71, and be there at the end. So I think a little bit of it is that. It's because they're not having the success. They may be pressing, but when you're pressing, that means you are not confident in the plays that you're calling. And that's never good for anyone. And it's showing on the racetrack for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, we go to Funny Car, and who do you have as your sure contenders? I only have 2.
I can guarantee you that we have the same 2. I can guarantee you that.
Yep. Austin Park and Jack Beckman.
Yeah, they come out of the same team. But I will say this. The consistency that we've talked about in Top Fuel has really spilled over into Funny Car.
Yes.
I mean, the absolute lack of consistency and some of the statistics that I've been looking over and some of the numbers that I come up with is pretty amazing that so far we're 7 races into 2025. Combined, both cars have had 5 first-round losses so far this year. The entirety of 2024, both cars only had 4 first-round losses all season. Now, granted, John's car did not run all the races. I get that. But at the same time, these guys are going out early when they never really used to. And the big thing that I didn't realize until I started digging a little bit more, and NHRA doesn't really do a good job of explanations of kind of like NASCAR. They don't put out a penalty report at the end of the race, or IndyCar, for example.
Right.
If you were watching NHRA TV, and I don't know if they announced it on the NHRA on Fox show, before the semifinal round, it was announced if Jack Beckman won the semis, goes to the finals, he takes the points lead. But then you look after the event, all of a sudden he's 38 back from Proc. You're like, wait, he's almost 2 rounds back. How did that happen? That crash in the semifinals cost him 20 points because he had a centerline violation and an oil down violation that took money and points away. So it was like that round was just a wash. They got basically no points for being in the semis. And they also had penalties at Vegas. They only earned 26 points for that race. Didn't even get basically the 10 show-up points. So, and Austin Proc just started the season at Gainesville when he split that rear end that basically ruined the Gator Nationals for the team. That also cost them points and money at the same time there. So the big thing is the penalties that have come to these teams. And even with that, they're still the only 2 drivers that have won combined 4 of the 7 races. They've won half the events this year, more than half the events that have been contested. So they're that much further ahead of everybody else. Take away the penalties, take away the first-round losses. If they can clean their act up, they're for sure number 1, 2 battling for this championship.
We'll get to that in a second too. I got both of yours on the lock there, Blake. We'll get to that. I mean both. They're both together 25-8, or the 25-10 round win-loss record. They're 10. Jack 10-2 in his last 5. Austin 9-3. They're Austin's average qualifying position being 4.28 is really for the simple fact that his Gainesville was terrible. I think it was 15th.
Yeah.
And I think he had another race where he was like 9th or something like that. Jack is 3.42 average qualifying position. He has 1 first-round loss. Austin has none, no first-round exits for him. But those are the 2 there. I'll go to my potentials. I've only got 2. Paul Lee, he's got that win, the runner-up, 9-6 overall record. He's been 5-5 in his last 5 races. He only has 1 first-round exit. And Matt Hagan, Paul Lee has just kind of been the demise of himself, or they just simply missed the tune-up. Matt has been quite consistent. It's quiet, a very quiet 11-7 round win-loss record. He has a first-round exit as well. 8-5 in his last 5. His average qualifying position is 7.14. And, being in that position, you usually end up drawing, some tough cars. And they have just been consistently going A to B. They're not, lighting up the scoreboard, but they're going rounds, and it's showing, on their round win-loss record. They're just not getting the wins that we're normally accustomed to seeing from him. But those are my 2. I think that's the only 2. Everybody else, too many first-round exits. Lack of consistency is a problem as well. I could not put another car in there. I do like Spencer Hyde a lot. But 6-5 round win-loss record. He has a runner-up as well. They've got 2 first-round exits. No, they got 1. No, they got 2 first-round exits. Charlotte and Chicago. I think they are part of my honorable mention in the slot of needs to make a move to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you can't disagree with that. And really, when we're talking consistency, you just have to look at the point standings and who's going rounds to really back that up, because Paul Lee and Matt Hagan are the only two drivers within 100 points of Austin Prock that are not on his same team. And it's very telling, because if you go back to Ron Capps in 5th, you can drop back all the way to Daniel Wilkerson in 10th. Actually, let's go beyond that. Let's just look at we'll go from Ron Capps in 5th, and we'll just take 95 points away from his total. All right. You're covering from 5th to 12th in that same spread that you have from 1st to 4th. So that really shows pretty much how you have the two JFR cars that have kind of been somewhat the class of the field. And a lot of that could have been qualifying session points and qualifying position points that helps them. Those penalties that they had hurt them. I agree 100%, Paul Lee and Matt Hagan, if they could find the consistency. But everybody else, I mean, you've got a window of literally 8 racers who just step up and take it. Like, who's going to emerge out of those 8 faces and string some runs together and really go on a tear and contend. And at this point, nobody has shown the consistency to even suggest that, yeah, I would lean towards this guy, or yeah, that guy's getting on a hot streak. I mean, Chad Green comes off the season winning the first race of the year. He's 7th in points, 200 behind. I mean, he's 2 races out already, and we're 7 in. So if that's how the 6 race countdown progresses, even if Jack and Austin falter in the countdown, long as they don't oil the track and keep it on the same side of the racetrack and aren't crossing the center line or hitting the wall, you can almost have a couple of mulligans in the countdown the way this field's been going. Who would have expected Bob Tasca with all of his first-round exits and a DNQ by this point of the year? I mean, what is going on in the funny car class? Especially when you look at the lineups, when they hit it, everybody's there, but it seems like everybody gets one good run, and that's what sets their position in the field. Just like they were saying at Epping, you had 13 cars into 3s. 395 was 13th, and then you had Dave Richards, Phil Burkhardt, and Buddy Hull into 4s. 4.0s, 14s. They were just there as filler, but hey, look who ended up winning rounds. Number 15 and number 16 qualifiers are going on to round 2, and that doesn't happen very often in the funny car category. So
it doesn't.
You, especially playing drag race bracket bonanza, it feels like this year I've had to pick between Cruz Pedregon and JR Todd first round multiple times.
Yes.
Ron Capps and Alexis DeJoria first round multiple times. These drivers just seem to end up facing each other because of where they land in the field. And it's really hard to pick because they're so all over the place. They make one good run in qualifying, and now they're 4th. And then, Cap struggles in qualifying. He's 13th. They run first round, and then Caps all of a sudden comes alive, puts a 380 on the board, and they're gone. So I would say that the most unpredictable category right now is Nitro Funny Car, without a doubt.
Yeah. My needs to make a move ASAP and needs to make a move to be in the conversation is JR Todd. They only had one. Like I said, Spencer Hyde could be my honorable mention, but I mean, there's a plethora of people that have shown potential. But 7-6 round win-loss record. He's got this one win here that happened in Epping. Average qualifying, though, position is 8th, and that's tough. Being right in there, not the best spot. I'd rather be 10 and below than being right in the middle of the pack like that, because you're likely going to face somebody who's pretty consistent and probably more consistent than you. But that's my one, and the honorable mention being Spencer Hyde.
Well, and when you get in that category, like you say, you're going to run typically first pair out, so you're getting the track right after the fuel cars, and if you manage to win first round, you're getting number 1 or number 2 qualifier in the second round. And that is never a good recipe for a long race day, especially with having Austin Prock and Jack Beckman being towards the top of the field. You don't want to face them early. So I agree with, I think that would be interesting. I'm really curious to see if Cruz Pedregon can hang on to this momentum that he's kind of started going on here.
Yeah.
Because they had a really good Chicago race day. They were starting to run some consistent runs. They made some good passes in Epping. And, they just had the unfortunate draw of J.R. Todd first round.
Yep.
And being out. And I mean, that's it. And they qualified 7th. They came into race day number 7 with lane choice and left before lunch.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do, man. But props to them. They are top 10 in points. Cruz is 9th. And in all honesty, he, like I say, how close everybody else is, he has a good race day on Bristol. Maybe the temperature's up a little bit. Cruz is a heck of a driver. He can get out there and pedal that car and get some round wins for that team. He could leave Bristol as high as 5th or 6th in points. I mean, that is not out of the question with a couple round wins.
I think they found something. Talking to Jason, I believe that was 2 weeks ago, after that deal in Chicago, I thought they found something on Sunday in Chicago, and it has seemed to carry over. They look like a different team, definitely, coming into Epping, and just had the luck of the draw, man. Like, JR hadn't done all that great this season, and then here we are. They're running consistent, and JR just jumps up and it's like, hey, I just ran a number. I don't know what happened, but we just threw something against the wall and it stuck. So, yeah, wild stuff.
And I'm going to tell you what, that was a bracket buster for me. I got 2 out of 8 in funny car at and that was one of them. I thought Cruz was going rounds, and they didn't. But I saw how you started the show basically saying Epping was one of your words. It was one of mine too, man. I was at the bottom. I
needed to take advantage of that. Yeah, I needed to take advantage of that to kind of close the points gap. And
that's good. We both went out first round at the same time. Good. I like that. That's okay.
Piss down my leg on this one. I did not do Pro Stock Motorcycle. Not enough races to even talk about it. We know who's the class, special kids of the class over there. So there's a few potential people, but I didn't even bother with that. Pro Stock is pretty much easy too. It's Dallas and Greg. I have Matt Hartford and Corey Reed, as my potentials, and those who need to make a move to be in the conversation is everyone else.
That's easy. No, and that's a shame. But with the Pro Stock Motorcycle category, we don't have a big enough sample of what's happened so far this season because they've only been to a couple of the races. So really, right now is going to be big because the motorcycles, I think, are at about 5 of the next 6, right?
Yes.
I think they're going to quite a bit of them. So this is put up or shut up time for the motorcycle class, which is looking like a Gage and Matt battle again, even though we've only got a small sampling of races. They've been trading them back and forth. And in Pro Stock, I mean, Greg Anderson is off to one of his best starts. I mean, he's almost like 2004 numbers, really, with 3 wins in the first 6 races, as opposed to then he had 5 of the first 6. So, I mean, he's right there. He's been in all the finals. I understand that he got a semifinal round finish credit for the full wides, but they were in the last dash for the trophy when those 4 cars lined up and one of them was gonna walk away with a championship. Greg was there. So that is a amazing start to the season that Greg has not had in a long time. Set the national record to start the year. Has been, crushed him with low ET at putting those 40s together on race day in Epping was amazing, and he's driving. He's not out there. There was a snafu, obviously, in the Mission Foods Challenge. Don't know if they ever said what happened there, what caused that beam to be delayed or triggered a beam. And obviously he goes down, gets an ET, but it's about a half second off, and it says that he red lit when obviously the car didn't move. But at the same time, video evidence shows Hartford did leave on him and did get to the finish line first. So no need for a rerun there. It's just a waste of knowing what the actual numbers would have played out. But I think Matt Hartford's definitely in the step up pile. He could be a contender. And I mean, everybody in the you need to show me something is in the elite camp right now.
Yes.
Because,
And,
man, are they struggling.
Yes. And we will get to that here. We're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we will talk about this fact of, is Erica Enders back after this race in Epping, or was it simply the conditions? Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall will be back. I believe it's Pomona when they will have their first episode. So be on the lookout for that. And as soon as we get more information, of course, we will be sharing that here on the show. Now, Blake had his first question was earlier in this thing, and he said he thought Erica Enders is back, even though she didn't win the race. She made it to the final round. She is going to win soon. What do you guys think? I'll go last. My question was, is she back, or was it simply the conditions?
Well, I don't know that you could say that it was the conditions, because like they were saying, after every round in qualifying and in eliminations, you are only as good as what your competition is on the same track and in the same conditions. And she was not towards the back like she had been.
Right.
She was up towards the top half of the field. She was getting there when she got down the track. Yes, she made it to the finals, but let's don't forget she made it to finals on one lucky round and one driving ability, because Corey Reed shook the heck out of the tires too in round two, and she was able to get down the track. And her and Aaron Stanfield both pedaled the heck out of the car in the semifinals, and he had over 100th hole shot on her going into that round too. After they left the starting line, she did a better job pedaling, getting the car to recover, and getting down the track than he did, potentially, based on the way that the results turned out. But again, what was the third round, or the final round of eliminations? She had less than 100th on Greg, who had consistently the best car all day. And let's say Erica gets to the finish line and she goes 49. Greg's going 46. She's still runner-up, even if that car made a run. But look at race day eliminations. That car did not make it down the track on 3 of the 4 runs. She lucked her way into the finals, and potentially, you could say, by her driving abilities in the semifinal to save that run against Aaron to get her there. But luck played a part in it, and unfortunately, I don't think they got that set up back. They made a couple of good hero runs in qualifying, and we're looking pretty stout going into race day. Had a lot of luck and maybe some skill on her side, but no. My answer to your specific question, is she back? No. Let's have that conversation in a couple more events and see where it shakes out, because to me, no. That was a lucky round. Couple of rounds.
Yeah. I understand that luck plays a lot in racing, and sometimes you need some breaks, and she got breaks. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, the numbers, everybody's like, they closed the gap. Well, they've gotten better. Okay. They've moved forward. Closing the gap, I don't know. Give me best conditions, and they're running 50s, low 50s, and Greg's running mid 40s. Him in Dallas, even Corey Reed sometimes sneaking in low 50s, maybe high 40s. They aren't consistently putting together those numbers. And for whatever reason, Dallas talked about it on the Competition Plus Power Hour last week, of that starting line being tricky. And it seemed to have bit a few cars as well. She was fortunate enough to get by her teammate due to her driving ability. That helped out a lot. But no, I'm not ready to say that they're back yet. I need more data. I need to see more. Conditions were nice, and I understand that doesn't always play a role, because you still got to execute. And they were able to do that to a degree during qualifying, but I need to see more. I wouldn't say that she's back at all. Let's see what happens here over the next couple races, because when you look at the rest of the camp is struggling. Her car seemed to be the one that has kind of moved forward a little bit. Everybody else is still on the struggle bus, and struggle bus is being nice. So we'll see how it goes here. I think they'll have some consistent races now where they're going to be at pretty much everyone here. So that'll be good for them, and we'll see if they can close the gap a little bit more and be competitive. I see what Blake's question too. How long do you think it'll take Tony Schumacher to win a race when he returns to NHRA Top Fuel? I don't think you just roll out in the middle of the season, and I don't care what crew chief you have. It's really about the crew chief. Great team is a whole nother thing, and that team needs to be a well-oiled machine and not make mistakes. I don't think the crew chief they have is going to make any mistakes. He's one of the best in the business. But I do believe that team factor is going to play a role. And we're going couch to racetrack. Yes, he's one of the greats. He's the GOAT, but still, like, there needs to be a maturation process. I think it's going to be a little bit tough coming into, I don't know exactly when they're supposed to start, but it's not going to be easy road because everybody else has been out there and they're starting to gain some type of legs with their program. And they're going to hopefully, be able to at least hit the ball within the ballpark, past the bases at least. So we'll see what happens, but I don't know. I don't know if he wins a race here this season. I think you're just gonna be happy to be out there and going rounds. If he wins, then that's a bonus. But I don't know if he wins a race here.
Yeah, I was going to kind of pretty much echo that same sentiment. Is how long does it take for him to win? A year and a half, maybe. We might be looking to 2027 if they're still in play and still in a team. The rumor mill swirling around is, yes, the scrapper team is likely who's going to be taking over that particular car since that situation is parked and most of those guys were relieved. So if they can get that tune-up, if they can get that car going down. But, I mean, again, it would be – the thing that I think would be interesting to see going forward is how the two teams work together and the data sharing and what they do with Clay's tune-up and what they do with the tune-up of the Schumacher car. And do they run them independent of each other, or do they run them as testing purposes for, are they going to just throw stuff in Tony's car to see what's going to stick for Clay's car? Like Drag Race Mayhem mentions here. I mean, what role does he play on the team, and do you luck your way into getting a win? So at this point, I don't know that they really do win a race by the end of the year, and I don't know that they win one next year, and I don't know how long that team stays together or that contract or that deal is for when he comes back out. So it's a great question, but I don't know that he wins.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Evazani says you just said that Schumacher's new crew chief is the GOAT. I wouldn't say the GOAT. He's damn good. One of the best in the business, top 5 at least. And like I said, if you're not hiring the guy, you're an idiot. I did not know that Austin Coyle was. Oh, you're saying that I'm saying that he's Austin Coyle. No, that's not. Nah, that's not it. That's not it. We can't speak ill of Austin Coyle like that. I mean, I love Rob Flynn, but not Austin Coyle. That's not it. That's not it. No. Last one for the night, and this one's going to be a doozy. Oh, man. I'd like to know what you guys also who are watching the show think as well. Actually, we kind of covered that one. Who's better, Shirley Modowney or Brittany Force. Both have 18 wins. Brittany just tied Shirley, 18 wins on the all-time list, putting her tied with the most wins by a woman in Top Fuel. Who's better? Who you taking? In the comments, who you taking? Brittany Force or Shirley Modowney?
Everybody's afraid to touch that one, I'm sure, but I'm not. I'll just say I'm going to Shirley. I think that the grit, the tenacity, the adversity that she faced to get where she got to in the top echelon of the sport. And you have to remember when she was doing it, Shirley wasn't just necessarily setting and breaking records in female drag racing history. She was breaking records in overall drag racing history.
Yeah.
She was the first multi-time NHRA Top Fuel champion and made it all the way to 3 before anybody else did. So
right.
The fact that, yes, I mean, they're different eras that you're competing in. You could say that the tune-ups could have had maybe a little more difference back then. The field spreads were a little bit more. You had some 8-car fields. You had some 16-car fields. But they went out there. They won the majors. She went out there. She raced in funny cars. She burned a couple of them up, went back to Top Fuel. I mean, just the career that she had in nitro drag racing. I mean, I think you can tie and you can advance past her in statistics, but I don't think that you can ever surpass her as far as, Don Garlits doesn't have the most wins in any category.
That's where I was going with that too.
But he's still the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
For what he did, for his contributions, for his legacy, for what he is remembered for, I feel like that's where Shirley falls in this category. Take nothing away from Brittany. Brittany is a Top Fuel champion. Brittany she's the queen of speed. Brittany has got the speed records like nobody's business. She has consistently been the fastest car in class. She's got a lot of the ET records as well. On top of it, when you start looking at top 10 quickest, I mean, she's top 5 in pretty much every statistical category except for wins. She has just not put the Wallies in her pocket like everybody else has, or on the trophy shelf like everybody else has. But she's been there. She's had some of the best tuners in the business helping her get down to track, and take nothing away from her career accomplishments. She will definitely go down as a great Top Fuel racer. But in my opinion, no, I am leaning towards Team Shirley on this one.
Yeah. That's taking nothing away from Brittany at all. I just think, when you look at the way that it's been paved, I believe, what did you say? And Shirley had 18 wins in 20 races,
27 finals and
27 finals, 18 wins. And I think Brittany is, I was looking at that just 2 minutes ago.
18 wins and 20 runner-ups, so she's got 38 finals.
38 finals. So done in a shorter period of time. It's taken nothing away from her, but it's just she paved the way. I think Garlits is what Garlits is to males is what Shirley is. Shirley is Garlits to the women's division. I do think that she's right now. I think you can kind of put Brittany in the category of a Kenny Bernstein, right? She's got the win. She's tied the GOAT, but she's got just about, I think there might be a few in the top 10 that have been taken from her, maybe 1 or 2. But she owns pretty much the majority of 1 through 15 in top speeds. She is the queen of speed. There's no doubt about it. And I think we talked about this off air. And, there's different types of drivers. There's different types of quarterbacks. Some system guys, some, are guys that can take over a game. Some are game managers. And taking nothing away from what Brittany does, I, would say that it's a game manager, very good game manager. At times when you need her to step up and dig deep and cut a light, she digs deep. She did it against Justin Ashley a few times, has done it. But for the most part, she's not going to throw it away. She's not going to throw you an interception. She's not going to give it to you. She's going to make you earn it, but she's going to make sure that she's in every race by not throwing it away on the starting line. Right. I think we can get to the point now that when she needs to, she finds a way to get a reaction time. But for the most part, that's just not her game. She's consistently in the ballpark. And if you come out there and Justin Ashley or 018, well, what the hell are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? What are you going to do with that? If I'm running the same number you're going to be running, what are you going to do? So right. She has another hell of a crew chief that she can be confident every time she gets in the car, for the most part, that it's going to go down the racetrack. And I know they've had their share of, tire smoking deals during the season, but for the most part, she has confidence that that car is going to go down the racetrack. And now that they have this momentum, now they've kind of found and gotten their legs a little bit and gotten back to what we saw about 2 years ago. They're dangerous. So no, there's really, it's kind of like talking about Michael Jordan and LeBron. You know what I mean? It's just no ill will. They both are great in their respective eras, but I know people will say, well, it's kind of hard to do between eras and all of that. But I mean, you just kind of got to look at, I know you say competition, but there was a lot more that Shirley had to go through to come out with the amount of wins that she had in her career versus the national events is remarkable, really, given the circumstances. It's not unheard of that people would be trying to sabotage her from even getting on the racetrack. You know what I mean? Like they were nasty, man. They were nasty, and she dealt with a lot, but paved the way for Brittany. But Brittany will pass her and will likely get up the chain. But yeah, definitely, in my opinion, she's probably in the Kenny Bernstein range, and definitely owns. They need to create that same kind of poster they got for Kenny for her. It needs to be a queen of speed somewhere. Right. It needs to happen now. I mean, she owns just about, like I said, just about every speed record in the top 15 with the exception of a handful. And I'm not sure if there's 5 that she doesn't have. It's probably more like 2 or 3.
Well, and I mean, even the 300 to the 8th, she's got more 300 to the 8th than everybody else combined times 2. I mean, she's just got them out there. So it's really interesting, like you say, when you throw all the numbers together. And, when she wins her next race, you mentioned Kenny, when she picks up win number 19, she's going to tie, if he doesn't get there first, Sean Langdon, Brandon Bernstein, and Gary Beck with 19 Top Fuel wins. And, I mean, those are some pretty big names there. You're going to have to. After that, it's a big jump. Gary Selzy's next on the list. He's 10th with 25. So anybody that wants to get top 10 in Top Fuel, you're going to have to start stringing some wins together. But, I mean, we talk about her being in the contender category, not necessarily a sure bet, but there's no telling that she doesn't end this season with 22 or 23 wins and a 3rd championship. And she's right there. So statistically speaking, yes, she is there. But she has had a great funded car and arguably the best crew chiefs in the sport tuning that car, and arguably the best numbers as far as ET and speed due to that. So she is riding a rocket ship. And I know it's hard to, you see these naysayers on the internet, the keyboard crew chiefs that Tony Stewart's always talking about that are just like, put Justin Ashley in that car and you can cut a 30 or better light every race and run a 360 every race. How do you beat him? You know what I mean? But life doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
Those dream teams are hard to come by. I mean, that's
Got that right.
That's 1990 Bulls dream team right there with Phil Jackson,
Exactly.
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, those guys all together. Yes, that's like once in a lifetime type stuff. So we live in the real world, and it take nothing away from her accomplishments because the numbers add up at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're going to look back, but I think she honestly, for me, it seems like Brittany is more known for the big numbers that are going to come up on the scoreboard than she is known for putting championships and wins together. It's what's that car going to do? How quick and fast is she going to go?
Right, exactly. And like I said, like I always say, I'll take a game manager over a gunslinger any day of the week because you know what? The game manager isn't going to be the dumbass throwing interceptions and making mistakes that's going to cost me races. I'm going to be in it. As long as I do my job, I'm going to be in it every time that we hit the starting line. So, Blake, I think there was too much made over Mark Ingersoll not being there. Now, all of a sudden, because the Mark is gone, we all of a sudden forget about all them damn crew chiefs they got in that lounge that are very well capable. Everybody's car is struggling, not just hers. So I think it was a bigger issue. I just think too much was made of that. I didn't like it when they started that nonsense, and I still think it's nonsense. I understand he's out, but one man does not make team. They got a bunch of crew chiefs in there to get the job done. They're just not there yet.
Well, and my counterpoint to that also, because Courtney said as much when she was in the booth this weekend, which shout out to Courtney. She did an awesome job in commentary this weekend. But she said that for the amount of cars that they field, Mark was kind of like the glue that kept everybody together. He was overseeing everything. So, yes, I can understand where your team as a whole might struggle because of that, or you might not have that one last guiding light or last opinion. But my counterpoint to it is that should probably be an eye-opening experience for you as a team to know that if you base your 8 or 9 cars' performances on one guy being there or not, that's probably not good for your long-term success.
No,
because that guy ain't going to be there forever. And if he's gone and you all are struggling, hopefully some people are starting to learn and get an education and step up and be able to fill those shoes when they're not there.
Yeah. That was a funny comment, the university. That was funny. Drag Race Mayhem says, but is the question who is better driver or who had a bigger impact? Because if we're talking pure driving, her paving the way shouldn't mean anything. It's a off the field type of deal. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I still say Shirley.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I feel like Shirley saved a lot more runs and won a lot more pedal fits than what Brittany has done. But Brittany has also raced in an era where if you blitz those tires, you likely ain't catching the other guy.
No.
And they had a lot more chances to have comebacks back then.
Yeah, a lot more chances to have comebacks. It is a interesting conversation. That's why I like having these conversations sometimes. It's get the young fans' opinions who maybe never even saw Shirley go down the track. Yep. He said in terms of impact, Shirley had a bigger impact to the points where most fans at the track know her than 90% of drivers who are newer. True.
Yes.
Her career has been, out of sight, out of mind for a while, and only people like probably me and Dave really know what her career was like for the most part. Not too early in her career because I wasn't even like here, but
right.
We were able to kind of see some of the film and things that in the early days when they had it.
But I'll also go, and we didn't really touch on it in either of our comments on it because we're just kind of comparing to where they were. But let's don't forget, Shirley came back from a near life and career ending injury in 1984 at Montreal, right when she was in the height of putting those wins and championships together. And she came back and she still won a race in Phoenix in 1989. She had some good runs. She was getting there, but obviously that had to have had a huge effect, because that happened right when Gary Beck was kind of starting to take over in Top Fuel and the Larry Minor team, and the money was coming in. So would it have stayed that way? Did she not get hurt? Did she not have that accident? That's one of those we're never going to know, kind of like Daryl Gwynn's accident that he unfortunately never got to come back from, and who is also tied at 18 wins with Shirley and Brittany. That seems to be not mentioned in the conversation. Daryl Gwynn and Spencer Massey also have 18 career Top Fuel wins.
Yeah, which is that's some company to be in. Behind Brittany is Scott Coletta with 17, Dick LaHaye with 15, Justin Ashley has 15. He's tied with Dick LaHaye, and one of my favorites of all time, gone too soon, 14, Gary Ormsby, and Don Perdome with 14, one of my favorites as well. And I believe Eddie Hill is next with 13, and then it drops there. I did not realize Morgan Lucas had 12 wins. His career was a kind of a flash. I did not realize he had 12. And believe it or not, Leah has 12.
It's amazing. So, and that's why I like posting that win list. Please, if you're ever curious, dragracereference.com, hit the Top Fuel page, scroll on down. You got every Top Fuel winner and how many they had, their first win, their last win. But some drivers are known for racking up the wins, and some guys kind of sneak up on you because you're like, really? They won that many? Like, Eddie Hill, you're like, well, Eddie Hill's only got 13 wins, but he's known for his, Mr. 4 Seconds. He's known for his 1993 championship. He's known for so many things more. A lot of drivers are known for more than what their success actually shows. Yeah. Which, I mean, really, that's kind of the impact factor. It just goes to show you don't have to go out there and be in the sport for a long time or string together a ton of wins to really be remembered.
But it also, when you look at this list too, like, so Richie Crampton is the end of your double-digit Top Fuel wins at 29. There's only 29 racers in double digits in Top Fuel that have double-digit wins.
In 1,002 races.
Yes. To me, that shows how tough this sport, how tough it really is to win. Like, we think of a lot of different drivers and, it come to mind, you think of their great time, like a Pat Austin. You think about the career he had and what he was able to put together, but he only has 5 wins. 5 only. You look at
on the Top Fuel side of things.
Yeah, the Top Fuel side.
Yes. But he's known for Alcohol Funny Car. He's known for the doubles. He's known for filling in for Gary.
Right.
I mean, people forget that he won Indy.
Daryl Russell only had 6. Remember Hot Rod Fuller, ladies and gentlemen? One of my favorite guys, actually. He has 7. And when you think of Hot Rod Fuller, for some of us, I mean, for me, it's almost like his career was a flash in the pan too. But he had 7. Insane. And then you think of people who switched over. You look at Ed the Ace McCullough, who has only 4.
But the interesting thing about Ed McCullough is when you look at those 4 wins, they are literally from Indy in 92, which is September 92, to Houston 93, March of 93. So those 4 wins came in a very short window.
Yeah, he was mostly in funny car.
And to start 93. That's it.
He was mostly in funny car. Said, where does Larry Dixon lie? Dixon is
number 3.
Yeah, he's number 3, 62. He's right behind Antron Brown with 65. And of course, the GOAT himself, Tony Schumacher, 88 wins. I don't know if we see that topped anytime soon.
It begs the question, is it that hard to win in Top Fuel? Or are those guys like top 5, 6 on this list from Joe Amato on up just that good? Because they all got 50-plus wins in category. And that's what some of the stuff that we were talking about on the shows last year. You have in that category, I mean, obviously Larry's not out there competing full time now. Tony's going to be back, but we've got 4 of the top 5 winningest drivers in the category still out there competing to this day and adding to their win totals actively.
Yeah, and Doug is the only one that I'll say, Doug and Antron, and Tony to a degree, because most of Tony's wins, let's face it, field wasn't that great until we got towards like what we say mid 2000s, I think, where we started seeing a good 8 to 10 cars that were tough.
Yeah. I mean, you had Alan Johnson, and then DSR started adding cars, so he started competing against himself at that point. And I mean, Antron with 65 wins and Doug Coletta with 55 wins, and Doug spotted him a decade. Antron didn't come in until 10 years later. And so that when you start looking at the first to the last and the span of their career to win those races is interesting too. Like Drag Race Mayhem mentioned, the amount that Justin Ashley has in just the short years that he's been out there.
It's kind of like the New England Patriots. The gang needs to stick together. I don't know, given how often tuners can switch teams, if you can get like a 6-year streak of Alan Johnson. It is tough in this day and age now. But I do, like I said, I do like the influx of the young talent that has been out there, just haven't been given an opportunity. And this sport needed it, I thought, 4 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago. Too many crew chiefs were being recycled, and I'm a what have you done for me lately type of guy, and some of these crew chiefs wasn't doing jack when they left the team they were with, and then they get recycled to another team, and it's not like where they left off things changed. Pretty much stayed the same. And I do like this new influx of talent, young talent, being able to do it. But yeah, guys, go to dragracereference.com. Of course, our stats site for the NotBland Show. And just take a look at that list. It's pretty interesting to see some of the names at the top. It's also just pretty interesting to see where some of the names you might have thought didn't have that many wins did actually have that many wins. Yeah, that's another interesting thing. No, they don't. NHRA does not count the IHRA top few wins.
No, I mean, obviously they're separated because just like if you were to count Don Garlitz's IHRA and even AHRA top fuel wins, he'd be a little bit higher too. But let's just say we put Clay's statistics all together. He's got 8 in NHRA, and I believe he ended up at 51 in the IHRA side of things. So, I mean, he's right there. He'd be, 4th all time in top fuel, because obviously Larry Dixon, Antron Brown, Tony Schumacher did not win an IHRA. All of their top fuel success has been here. But you'd put Gartlitz in there. You'd probably get 8 guys with over 50 wins.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then we're just talking top fuel only. I mean, if you start adding in Kenny Bernstein's funny car wins and Don Perdome's funny car wins, you're looking at overall category nitro wins. The lists change too. So it just depends on how you want to break it down. You can sort them and rank them any way you want to really get a big perspective. And no matter what perspective you get, John Force is always going to be the best.
Yep. That's all it is to it, ladies and gentlemen. Man, what a great show. We went a little long today, but we're having a great conversation, and love having the conversation with you guys. Okay, you heard it here first. Blake says St. Louis for Tony Schumacher. So heard it here first.
Was he? Good luck. Put that in your Drag Race Bracket Bonanza.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I really want to thank those new subscribers that we have to the YouTube channel. I want to thank you guys for your subscription. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and supporting the show. Man, we've been growing here over the last 7 days, and it's nice to see the progress. Nice to see you guys taking the time out to view some of our clips from the show, as well as viewing our shows. Man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try to shoot for Dave Richards next week on Tuesday. should be fun to talk to him about their progress and finding a little level of consistency, especially better than they were 2 years ago. It should be interesting to talk to him next week. Well, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your race this weekend. It is Bristol, baby. And we'll talk to you guys again real soon next Tuesday. Come over to the Power Hour. We will have Erica Enders and I forget the guy's name, but he's looking to go to 200 mile an hour with no arms. Very interesting.
Make sure to ask Erica if she thinks she's back.
I will.
Good question for her.
It will be. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the show. Good night, everybody.